So, self-seeking will slip away, right? That's the 8th promise. The talk is seek no more. So, our theme is very nicely laid out for us on the website, right, for the whole year. So when I agreed to do the talk for today, I went over to the website, I looked ahead, I saw what the promise was, and then I decided to prepare, that I was going to start preparing early. I thought, wow, look at me. Aren't I maturing nicely? You know, like, wow, here's proof I'm making progress. I'm being all my super organized friends who are on top of things and planning ahead. So I had a plan. And it was a good plan. And it was solid, but flowing. It was really good, and I was feeling happy about it and pretty proud of myself. And then I opened my eyes, and I got off my meditation bench. And from that point forward, it started to spiral downward a little bit and appeared to come apart at the seams. Usually the week that I am preparing for a talk, that I'm in that process, right? What I'm talking about, it's all around me. I'm right in the middle of it. So in this case, I actually got to start seeing right away how self-absorbed I am. And I thought, well, great. Instead of just 1 week of getting to see my self-absorption, I have 3. Awesome. That's like such positive reinforcement for planning ahead, right? Don't you think? So actually what happened, though, is that I had a week to see how self-absorbed I actually am, quite a lot of the time. I had a second week to live in embarrassment and a little bit of confusion about that and what self-seeking really meant. And then this third week to try and decode everything. So I was sitting around at the beginning of the week and wondering about the promise. And going, well, what does self-seeking actually mean? And I can tell when I'm in one of those fields where there's some growth ready to happen, about to happen, wanting to happen, because what happens is that it's like I have this sense like I know what it is. You know, I have a glimpse of it, and then it disappears. I kind of have this sense of what it is, but then I'm back in confusion again. It's like trying to remember a dream that I can almost remember, but quite, and so that's what was going on. And I thought, okay, well, wait a minute. Let's take a step back, right? I recognize, let's take a step back and see. So then I had this great idea, like, oh, I'll go look online, and I'll read about the 8th promise. I'll do some research. I'll read my Melody Beattie book, Codependent's Guide to the 12 Steps. I'll go and do some research on this, and then I'll get really prepared. So there I am. I'm lying there reading about the 8th step, right? And then it hits me. Oh, this is a promise that actually comes from doing the step, right? It's not just, oh, here's the promise you can have. It actually comes from working the step itself. And as soon as I heard the voice in my head say, well, I don't have time to work the step, I have a talk I have to write, then I knew, oh, right, this is exactly the right place for me to start. So I thought, well, you know, let's go and see. Will the promise really show up? And then if it does, what will it really look like? And then, of course, there's the fear-filled voice that goes, yeah, but what if it doesn't show up at all? Then what am I going to talk about? So a lot of trust has also been woven into this time to come up to write the talk. So I'm reading Melody Beattie's book, and she's speaking about her process of working the 8th step. And so she said that every time she sat down to write her list of people that she had harmed, the only list that she could think of was all the people who had harmed her. Right? All the people who owed her an amends. And she couldn't get past that. So she decided to make 3 lists. And she says, you know, I mean, some people criticize it because it's not a really true, it's not true to kind of the original way of working the step. But there was something in what she was talking about that really resonated with me. So I decided that was the route I was going to go. And I dove in to start making my own lists. So the first one, that list of everyone that I thought had done me wrong, right? And I was writing some names down, and I was looking at the list, and I thought, oh, it's not going to be a very big list after all. But then Suddenly, to my surprise, I became quite prolific, and the list kept growing and growing and growing and growing. But that day, I noticed a shift starting to happen, that just beginning the process alone seemed to lighten my internal load a little. And I just gave myself that first morning, that first day, to just do that list, right? I just stopped. I didn't get in and start working on the second list. I just let myself be with that experience and notice it. Just pay attention to the people who were on the list, and enjoy the relief from some of the anxiety and the nervousness I was feeling. So, second day, second list. The people that I had harmed, right, through the years, and each one with a little note as to what it is that I'd done. I'm a parent, so this became a really loaded one. So most of you know that most of you know my daughter Emily, and but not everybody knows that I also have a son who's 22, and this is not his thing, so he doesn't come. But by far, far and away, he's the one that's at the top of the list. Emily's only 9 years old, and we've been around the center and Free the Heart for 5 years of it, so it's helped her. She's been fortunate that way. But my son Tyler, he's another story, right? He's kind of up here, big space, and then the rest of the list starts carrying on from there. I used to think that I had ruined him completely, like that I just completely destroyed him. But I've made peace with the first half of his life. And it's the second half that I wrestle with more. So, in a lot of ways, that's a lot of progress for me, But when he was young, I was a single parent. And, I was in therapy and I was doing groups. And so really my focus a lot was on breaking cycles and being the best parent that I could. And then I got into relationship. And it was okay for a while, but then my passion for codependency, as it were, kind of kicked in full blast, right? And all my buttons got pushed. I fell into a hole, and then I started digging. And I was digging and digging and deeper and deeper and deeper, and roaming around in that hole for a really long time. And what that meant for Tyler was that in a lot of ways he was on his own, right? I poured more energy and attention into my relationship than I did into being present and accounted for as his mom. So fast forward to now, he's moving to Vancouver next weekend. Yeah, I know. It's very exciting, and it's good. It's really good for him. I'm happy because he's been miserable here for a pretty long time, and he's been willing to endure misery. I don't know where he gets that from. Right? Must be his father's side of the family, right? But as his mom, I'm really happy. I'm so thrilled to look at him and see that spark of life coming back in his eyes, that he's excited and hopeful about life again, that he is, at this beginning of a fresh new start for himself, and I'm so happy. I'm grateful that he is ready to go and do that, and everything that comes with that. Now for me, whatever time I thought I had in the way that it's looked with us being in the same house in the same way, whatever time that I thought I've had to do things different, it's gone, because he's going to be gone. Now it doesn't mean it can't change, but the way that I've seen it, that's over. Really I let Tyler go too soon. And now he has to learn so much by himself. Right? Things that I was supposed to teach him, he has to learn by himself in the middle of living, in the middle of all of what life brings. That's what he lost in his teen years. Right? He lost when I was consumed by my addiction, and that codependency really was my addiction, what he lost was the teacher that would help prepare him for the world, that would help prepare him into being the adult that would then step out onto his own and do what it is that he needed to do. And so about a week ago, because it's a fairly new turn of events, but a week ago or so, I sat down. I had such a heavy heart. This was really weighing on me. And I had such sadness filled me. And you know what? I just poured it all out to God. I'm really grateful that this is the step and this is the stuff that I was working on, because it was more in my awareness than it might have been. That I just sat there and poured it out, and I just let it all out to God. All the ways that I failed Tyler, how he'd have to spend time learning the things that he should have already been shown, the things that he should have already known how to do. And then I kept asking, because then it came to me, how do I make amends for that? Right? How do I make amends? My heart was breaking and I sobbed. It's like, how can I make up for not being there for my child when he needed me? When David talked about step 8, he talked about, you crash somebody's car, and apologizing is coming and giving the keys back and saying, I'm sorry, and making amends is going and getting it fixed and restoring it back to its former self and bringing it back. And I thought, but what happens when what you crashed isn't a thing? What happens when what you smashed was a person who was counting on you to take care of them? And I was empty. I had no answers. I just kept crying. Every time I thought of it, it made me cry more, and I just sat there, and I don't know how long I cried for. But there came a point where it subsided, and there was some space in me, and a thought bubbled up. And the thought said, there's a way. There's a way. Even if I don't know what it is right now, that's okay. But I have faith, and I know that there is a way to make amends. And then I was really grateful because I remembered, right, we're working on the 8th step. I don't have to make amends yet. I just have to be willing, right? Next month, I can figure out what the answers are, maybe. But this right now, all I have to do is be willing to make amends. And I was willing. And I shared that over the course of the week a few times, just in various conversations. And what I noticed is that each time I shared it, there was less and less charge on it, right? There was less and less energy. And then it came to Thursday, and I was talking about it, and I had this realization. And I shared it. I was like, you know what? Really, what is it that actually happened here? So all it really means is that Tyler has to learn some stuff. And now that doesn't take away his experience, right? Not for him and what that was like for him and all those things. But for me, from my perspective of loving myself, of accepting myself, of compassion, and of forgiving myself, quite frankly, it's nothing short of a miracle, really. And I thought of conversations that Tyler and I have had over the years, and he has said to me, since he was a little boy, he has said, I love learning, Mom. I hate school, but I love learning. So I thought, well, you know what? In essence, I'm just kind of feeding him what it is that he really loves. I'm giving him some focus to his learning, But the thing is, to let go of that burden is huge. It is really huge. Melody Beattie when she talks about the 8th step, one of the things that she says is a willingness to be at peace with the people in our lives, including ourselves. And this has been a doorway to peace for me, right? Tyler was a big one, and there's other things that are on the list, that are regarding him. But being willing to be at peace in that relationship with him, that's the magic for me. Being willing to be at peace. Period. That's the magic. And it's one of the keys to making peace with my past. The things that I've done, the choices I've made, the things I haven't done, the choices I didn't make, all of it. And then the third day and the third list, right? And so what about that? Looking at the harm that I did to myself over the years. And it's been an unburdening. And it would be easy to get caught up in guilt and shame and judgment, but this is not about that. It's about peace. It's about honesty. It's about emptying so that something bigger, right, can be there. And my heart opened to deeper love and compassion for myself. And what was awesome is that I am willing to make it right with me. Like, that's really cool. I like that, and I don't know if I ever thought about that before with myself, but I'm willing to make it right with me. You know, peace in my relationship with myself, big yes. You know, yes. And it's about time, because it's been a very unpeaceful relationship, up and down for a long time. So now is the time to invite that in. We were on holidays together about a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago or something. It all starts to blend together. And the night before we were leaving, I went out and I found this bench, and it was sitting at the water, so it was right on the water looking out over the ocean. And the way that it's set up is, so there's the bench, and then there's, you know, land that comes around like this, and houses are built, and then there's land, there's houses, and then there's trees, and then there's 2 points, and in between these 2 points, it's just the water and the sky, right? It's just the total expansiveness of all possibilities, really. I mean, it's like the whole world is out there. And I was looking at it, and I felt myself just being drawn into that vortex, that space, and I thought, yeah, that's where I want to go. I really want to go there. And then really quickly, I mean, I had this quick thought about, yeah, but how would my family fit in that? How does that really work? And then I started to notice the tightening in my chest, the tightening in my stomach, the anxiety, and this kind of clinginess, this like really clingy energy that was like wrapping itself around that. And I was really curious, right? I had this curiosity because I went from 1 minute feeling completely expansive and excited to feeling tight and constricted and anxious. And so I opened into my curiosity. And a deeper truth revealed itself to me. And I heard, I heard, you know what, I'm supposed to. That's where I'm supposed to go. But I don't really actually want to. And I felt a wave of relief come over me. Because in that moment, I was connected to 2 different aspects, 2 really clear, different aspects of myself. That big supposed to, and not the supposed to like shoulds and all that weird stuff. The should that is like, this is my soul's calling. Like, this is why I'm here. This is why I go through everything, and this is what I am meant to do in the world. You know, that's supposed to. And my small self. The small self that like pulls down at me. It says, well, no, don't. That's stupid stuff, you know, shh. And yanks me back, holds me back. I went to see a movie this past week, this documentary with Kate and Ramona and Cheryl Ann went as well, and about this just amazing woman named Marianne Woodman. And throughout the documentary, she kept on referring and she kept on speaking to this one piece about, you know what, one thing has to die in order for something else to live. And she said it a lot through the movie. Something has to die in order for something else to grow and live. And so that just spoke to me so deeply, and I asked myself, you know, what is it that needs to die in me? Then what is it that needs to die so something else can live? And I was clear, my small self. That small self. And that part of me, or the piece that lets myself be driven by that small piece, that lets that guide and direct me and make my choices, you know, that sinks down to that lowest and then starts to live from there, that needs to die in me in order for me to step up, to step out. Because you know what? That place in me, that my soul is calling, I mean, it pushes me, it nudges me, it calls to all sorts of things. And then the little self goes, well, we don't have that much money. What is family gonna do? What will people think? We can't really do it. The timing's not very. I'm sure you know, because I'm pretty sure that I'm not alone. I'm sure that everybody's got their own little voice with its own unique little sayings. That when our highest self goes, yes, it goes, not so fast, right? Woo, reel you back in, baby. And that self manipulates people to get what it wants, right? It blames other people, it shames other people, and it distracts me from living fully and completely in the world. Fully and completely the way that I know I am meant to show up. So you know what? In the end of it all, it's true. It's true. As I made my list, and as I became willing to make amends, the promise is showing up. What does it look like? What does it look like? One of the great ways that it's looked for me this past week or so, has been that for all the difficulties that my husband Dre and I have been having, and we've been married for a while and together for a while, so it does this, and it's been hard, at times. But for all of the difficulties that we had doing this, I remembered that he was my friend first, right? And that I want my friend back. And I'm willing to have my friend back. And that I'm willing to be that friend that I was in that time when I liked him so much and I liked me so much, and that I can pass on the finger pointing and the drama around it all, right? And that I can remember that, and that I'm willing to share that with him. For everything that it takes to put this stuff together and really going through the process, that's a huge gift alone. If that's all I got from that, it'd be totally worth it, right? Because you know what? I really get that about our marriage. And I've gotten it our whole time together, that this is where I'm supposed to be. I don't always want to be here. I really don't. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard, and sometimes I just want to bolt and I want to do something else. But when I go within and I really check to that place that knows, honestly, it's where I'm supposed to be. The promise has shown up in countless other ways too. Dropping the illusion that everything that's ever gone wrong in the lives of people I love is my fault. Dropping that, releasing old identities like I'm a failure, I don't know what I'm doing, I have no right or no value, that sort of stuff. And pulling the plug on guilt. That's been the awesome thing about making these lists and just really doing that. It's like pulled a big plug, no little trickle leaky thing. No, it's like it's big, and it's really drawing out. It's pulling a plug on that guilt because it's so much attached with that small self too. Nope, I just lost my spot. Oh yeah, peace. And you know what? It's true. Peace. Feeling a sense of peace from the inside out. Not trying to reach out and find peace all over here so that I can feel peaceful. Peace from the inside out. Serenity. Trust. Trusting the process. Trusting myself. Trusting God. Trusting life. I've had to keep bringing myself back to that the entire time. Because I wander off somewhere else where it is not a pretty place, right? It's not very friendly and good. I have to keep bringing myself back. Trust the process. Trust myself. Inside, connected to my highest self, I know what to do. I know what is right. And having more faith in love than in fear. And those are huge things to come from a promise. So every time I've given a talk so far, I have a moment. I just have a moment of panic and insecurity. Usually hits me Saturday night when there isn't much I can do about it. But it hits me nonetheless. And I think, this is wrong. Like, this is totally, totally wrong, right? I mean, really, who wants to sit and listen to me talk about my life for 25 minutes? I mean, that is a really long time to listen to somebody. But then, this time I realized, here's the thing. It's all I have, right? My life is all I have. And it's my gift. It is my gift to you. And so I open up my life and I lay it at your feet. Not in sacrifice, but in love. Right? And in truth, it's all any of us have. Right? All we have are our lives. Our lives are a gift. They are really a gift. I mean, what is more beautiful than us reaching inside of ourselves and sharing this precious jewel of our authentic selves with each other? I can't think of anything that is more beautiful, more sustaining, more real than that. My life is your life. Your life is my life. I really have seen, I really get in me. That's true. And what I've come to realize is that as self-seeking slips away, what shows up in its place is self-finding. It's like in that space, wow, here I am. I have found myself. We can find ourselves. Right here, we don't need to go out there, do anything, be anybody other than who we are, and share our lives. Each of us is sacred and perfect and whole. And this golden promise of the 8th step is proof of that. Thank you. So let us take a minute to pray. Turning into really, oh my gosh, that sacred space, that jewel of love and authenticity that is at our very core, that is the essence of who we really are, and knowing that that is a reflection of the God that is all around. That there is only that goodness, that life, that absolute perfection that we are a reflection of. And that beauty is here right now in each of us. As we look into each other's eyes, we see that pearl looking back at us. We see ourselves and we see it in the other person. I am loving and knowing that this is a time of Spirit moving through us, dropping everything and anything that would stand in our way of letting our real light shine. That those mistaken beliefs, that stuff that has been projected onto us by other people, that just slips away, absolutely slips away. And what is left is our own knowing, realization, and acceptance that we really are divine expressions of God's holy love. That is the truth of who we are. It has always been the truth, it's the truth now, and it always will be the truth. No matter what goes on around us, no matter what anybody else has to say, we know inside of us that is so. And when we come from that place and share that with the world, live that in our day-to-day lives with the people around us that we love, with the community around us, with our work, our co-workers, with whoever it is, we know that life gets better and better and better, and that we find ourselves as a global community through that. Our stand here is a part of what is making a change in the world. We are doing that. And I am so grateful for this community, for our love, for our dedication, for our energy. And so it is.